4's not enough. 5 is enough.
Where you get the fifth one from?
Sonia,
1,
Steve,
2, 3,
Jan,
4. Okay, myself. 5.
William, and yourself.
Okay, I had to count myself. I didn't count myself. Sorry, people. I hope I don't blink in and out because it drives me nuts. All righty. Did everyone see the recommendation?
Yes.
Yes, I think we have to do the roll call first.
Okay, Marie, can we have a roll call? I'm sorry. I'm trying to get this over because I do
Okay.
have a 7:30 meeting.
Okay, listen carefully. Julia Forster,
Here.
Sonia Iglesias,
Here.
Stefan Chesler,
Yeah.
Joel Goldstein, Martin Needleman, Rabbi Niederman, Jan Peterson. Jan?
She's muted.
She's muted.
Unmute yourself, Jan, and answer the roll, please. You have to unmute
Yeah.
yourself.
Thank you, Jerry.
William Vega.
Here.
You have a quorum. 5.
Thank you. All right. Can I forgot my moment of silence. Let's please have one for our president and the upcoming election. And all our COVID. Okay. Thank you, everyone. Okay. Oh, can't see y'all. There y'all go. All right, as I stated before, did everyone see the request for change?
I did. Sonia.
Yes.
Everybody?
Yeah. Well, there
Yes.
was a summary request and then there was a detailed one.
Okay. All righty. Now, I made a comment, as I say, somebody finally got this. You know, these are the things that he put in there that I've been trying to get this committee to do. And we've been going around and around and around and around in circles. My question to you is, how do you like this change of request? Are you for this change of request? Do you want to go by line? I can read them to you and we can go line by line and we can discuss them.
I'm okay with it, Sonia. I read them. I'm okay with the proposed changes. I don't know if we do a motion because I'm okay with it. I don't know about the rest.
I just want to hear from everybody. That's why we didn't have a meeting the last time, because nobody was here and I didn't discuss not one thing, because no one would ever say I was talking about this and you weren't here. So I want to hear from everybody how you feel about these proposed change, for them, against them, motions. I want to hear it all. Hello, people. Let's go. It's yours.
All right. Well, just so I understand, we're talking about the detailed proposal that I submitted to the Chair Fuller, and she submitted to the board, to our committee, right?
No, I'm talking about the one from Stephen Whitberg.
Well, the problem with Stevens is that it's essentially a summary of what we're proposed to do. I mean, it's not actual text amendment changes. The one I sent in relates to his, in that it basically amends specific parts of our bylaws for nominations and elections. You know, that the nominations happen in December of 2020 and the elections happen in January of 2021. And it basically amends all the 7 sections of the bylaws that reference those two things.
In other words, they're the same, but Steve took the time to put it in the proper format.
Thank you very much.
Is that correct,
I
Steve?
see that now.
Yes.
Correct,
I
Jerry.
see that. Okay. I didn't read yours entirely. I'm just reading the first one. Okay. Yeah, because he summarized it and I was very happy that he did. Simply because these are the things I was saying from the beginning. Everybody said, oh, it's going to take a month. And I said, no, it's not. There are procedures and steps you have to take. And no one was hearing me. He put it in the simplicity of what I was saying, of what you have to do. And it has to be in writing. We just can't assume because we said one thing that it was going to go through. Steve, thank you for putting in a full format of what we need. So once again, do we need to have conversation? Is everyone okay? Do we need to go one by one?
I said
I
we
need
should
to
make a
know.
motion.
I think
I'm
we
not
go
making
with
a motion.
Steve Kessler's, and I make a motion, we accept Chief
Yes.
Steve's.
I second.
Let's get it out, Sonia.
We did get it out, but the thing was.
Sonia. The
Julia.
reason for that is, let's get the whole thing out so Marie can hear who's making the motion. We had a
Okay,
meeting
fine.
where we were making motions and everybody was agreeing and nobody knew who said what. So let
I-
Jan make the motion.
And
Let
I
it be
second.
clear and on record that Jan made the motion and that you're seconding it. We lost Jan.
Yes.
Hey, Jan, come back.
Okay. My granddaughter calling me, see, that's why I said, let's vote.
Let's let you get the motion in first.
I
Complete
make
it.
the motion to accept the motion as written by Steve Chesler, the full form. That's my motion. I don't think we have to read it.
No, I read it. Sonia, you wanted to second
I
that?
second. Sonia Iglesias seconds the motion.
Thank you.
Okay. I'm sorry, I'm going through it piece by piece. Again.
I think you have to call the vote there.
Can I ask a question before we call this vote?
You're the chair.
I'm certainly gonna ask it anyway. Okay, my question is this. We are in COVID. And we're saying that this is due to the fact that COVID, blah, 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 took place, that we now have to do the election this way. Is this gonna be permanent in the bylaws? Or are we gonna state anywhere in there that this is the changed or emergency maneuver if we should happen to ever meet in person again? Which means the voting will revert, or we'd have to go back and change if we're around, back to paper ballot.
Julia, I asked a question and we could have merged it and they said no, because we're gonna have to revisit it. After all this is over, then we have to go back and amend. Am I right, Jerry? This is for now.
Yeah, I think for the most part, Steve tries to cover this in his recommendation, where he says, with the exception of the May 2020 meeting, where
Right.
instead all nominations floor must be made at the December meeting. So this allows for us to go back, and Steve, correct me if it's not your intention, but this allows us to go back to the regular protocol after this election. Whereas if we're still in the pandemic this time, come after June 30th, I think then the bylaws committee would have to meet prior to that to
Yes.
allow for the voice vote, et cetera, to take place. In other words, elections can still go back to the same schedule,
Yes.
but the bylaws have to be adjusted to allow that to happen.
That's
And
what I'm asking.
that would be like sometime in March.
Yeah, I guess so. Sure. I mean,
Okay.
if we're still in the pandemic, and God forgive me, but it certainly looks like we will be.
Yes,
You know.
I agree. We'll
Well,
just redo
everybody
it like
stay
that.
safe.
Yes.
That was the question I was asking. Thank you, Jerry, because we're putting it, because we're doing it now, we have to vote this way. I wanted
Yes.
to be sure in case we have to go back to regular meetings, and now we have the bylaws stating we're gonna vote by this, but we're meeting every
Yes.
day.
It would-
So,
It would be the same protocol that Steve is proposing, but just plug in the original dates with May nominations and June elections via voice vote, et cetera.
Yes,
so
good.
that means we wouldn't go back to paper ballot.
Well, the law department has ruled out paper ballot when
Okay.
we contacted them. I mean, to me, I thought paper ballot would be the simplest form. We'd mail out the ballots to the members, and then we'd collect them and announce the vote. But and everyone should be sure of the fact that in this election and in every subsequent election prior to this one, your vote is recorded, because some of the board members I saw some chatter going back and forth. Oh, people don't want to record how their vote is. They don't want their vote to be shown how they voted. That's not the case. It's always been shown. It's always appeared in the minutes from the beginning of time. So even though it's a voice vote, and I'll be calling the names for people to vote, I'll have actually a paper ballot for each member in front of me, and I'll just tick off how they voted, et cetera, et cetera. And when I do the voice vote, I will repeat it to the member, so there could be no misinterpretation. Ms. Foster, how do you vote? You vote for John Doe. Ms. Foster votes for John Doe. I'll be repeating it that way so that there can be no discrepancies from people saying, well, I didn't mean that, or I meant that, or whatever. We'll get through it. Actually the last meeting went better. It's important, again, that people sign into the board meetings using the email that we have on record. That's the key to a successful WebEx
And Jerry,
experience.
Yeah.
Jerry,
Jerry, my
very
other
quickly,
question-
excuse me, very quickly. We don't know, we decided it was gonna be a slate, was it gonna be individual, you said for every position. Do we have to determine that now as well in the bylaws?
I'm sorry, what was the question?
Remember, we spoke about, are we gonna do like in a slate, or we're gonna do everybody that's running, or we're gonna do individual titles? Do we have to put that too as well to decide
Well,
now?
I think Steve denotes that people vote via voce, which is by voice. So I would imagine
Okay,
the intent is I will call the member's name,
And who's
and then
not?
I'll say, how do you vote for chair? How do you vote for
Okay.
first vice? How do you vote for second vice? Et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Okay, perfect. Thank you for the clarification.
Jerry, my other question.
By the way, this is Marty. I apologize. I was on, but I got blocked.
Hi,
I just
Marty.
wanted to note one thing about the bylaw changes. I think, and I'm the one who had proposed like specific things, but I think that it was better to amend the bylaws to authorize the board to set up the date, rather than having formalized dates in the bylaws, which have to be changed. Have to make a bylaw amendment to change the date. It's really a little bit overly.
There's a motion on the floor, Marty. Any questions should relate to the motion.
Okay, the motion
Marty?
is.
Sorry, Marty, I love you, but I disagree because they're looking for us for that guidance, and they said that we had to indicate dates and when the nomination election as the bylaws require. And I think that if we do that, it's going to be another big mess. We indicated, they know that we're looking at nomination for December and election for January up until June. That would be the only term, because we cannot expect the general board to do this because it's going to be a mess, Jerry, and I mean, Marty, and I can't handle it. I can't. My nerves are not.
It will be here another year.
Julia, we have a motion on the floor. Can we call the vote?
No, I have one more question.
Come on.
I'm sorry. And it just went out my head, just that quick. Jerry, my question is this. When we did take votes last meeting, folks that were here weren't able to vote because issues with this program. Like sometimes I'll click to come in to take my vote and you'll tell me I didn't vote. And I'm going, I did vote. It didn't let me come back from unmute. So how are we going to handle something like that?
Not right now while we're trying to vote.
Steve's recommendation is that I poll the members of the board, right?
Yes.
So I'm assuming if a board member does not have email, which we do have one board member that does not have email. Tish, yes. I wasn't going to give a name, but yes. So I'm going to assume that Steve and the committee would allow me to poll that member by telephone.
Okay.
All right. And I could do that poll with an open mic so that you would be witness to, Tish's voice and her saying, I vote for XYZ. Again, she's the only member that does not have email as of yet. So it only affects that one member, but I think we should make allowances for that one member to be able to vote. If another member, and this has happened in past meetings where, let's say, I could see you, Mr. Vega, but I can't hear you, and I was able to get your vote with a thumbs up or thumbs down, that won't be possible this way. So with the committee's permission, I would then ask that member to either call me or I would call that member to record their vote, so nobody would be shut out, so to speak.
Okay. That was one of my main concerns.
And if that's acceptable to the committee, I mean, again, I want everybody to be in agreement that this is what we'll do. There should be no surprises, you know?
Okay, that is something we would need to say okay on also, because that was one of my very, very concerns in the beginning of doing this, and also having this thing put together correctly when everyone was telling me we're gonna do it in a month, and I told you, nope, it's not gonna happen in January. So, thank you, me.
And
Anyhow,
Marty Needleman,
Julia,
Marty, for your information purposes, we are voting on, it's been motioned by Jan and seconded by Sonia Iglesia to adopt the proposal as put in the proper format by Mr. Chesler.
And can we call the vote now, please?
Jan has a headache.
That's the same proposal as that Steve wrote up?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, Marie, can you call the vote, please? Everybody? Hey, Marie.
I'm here.
Okay, can we call the vote?
Julia Foster,
Yes.
Sonia Iglesias,
yes.
Stephen Chesler,
Yes.
Joel Goldstein, Martin Needleman,
Yes.
Rabbi Niederman, not present. Janice Peterson,
Yes.
William Vega.
Yes.
Yay.
You have 6 yes.
Hallelujah.
Thank you, Steve.
All right, now can we please go back to what we were just saying, that would we all agree on the fact that somebody would have to make that motion, that if they can't vote, that we would accept thumbs up and Jerry would be able to contact that person? Come on, I want all this to be intact so we don't have to come back with this again.
Yeah, but
Is that part of our process? Is that a
that's new
decision to make?
text. I mean, that's new
That's
text.
gonna be a new text, huh? So how do we incorporate that into the new text? Who's going to do it?
Well, I guess it's kind of, what do you define voice vote as?
Well, exactly, Steve. I mean, that it's an interpretation of your point number 7, right? Which is via voce. I don't know if we need to have that spelled out in the text, if it's the committee's understanding that a voice vote allows for the member to either voice their vote or the member to be contacted via telephone. And again, it should only affect one member. I can't say that other members have not had problems and difficulty during past meetings where we were able to talk to them they were calling the office because they couldn't get in for some reason. And again, I think a lot of the members are not getting in because they're not using the email that we have on record for them. But
Also, what I was stating was
What about
sometimes when you're muted and you try to get back in, you can't get the mute in, but Jerry can see you and you're doing, yes, I heard you and I'm giving a thumbs up. Does that have to be spelled out? I'm giving you permission to say, I'm saying yes.
But
Does that?
No, it can't. No.
But thumbs up won't necessarily work unless the member holds up placards with the name of the candidate on it.
Exactly.
It's not going to work that way, you know?
And that's where my concern is coming at, where people might be losing their vote, because sometimes.
That's what I'm saying. As long as it's okay with the committee, because it's not specified. Steve talks about viva voce, voice vote, so it's not specified. So what I'm proposing is the understanding that if a member can't get through, that I will get the member on the phone, hopefully, and with an open mic, speak to Mr. Chesler and say, well, we can't hear you on the computer, but speak loud and my mic will pick it up so the members will hear you giving your vote. So there'll be transparency.
Julia, I think that's sufficient because
It's all recorded.
We know it's sufficient, Jan. We just want to make sure that we're covered.
I didn't make my whole point. I was trying to make a point. I'm saying it's sufficient, and you don't want to put everything in bylaws. Bylaws are only for very specific things. It's not a good idea to be running around trying to stick into a legal document all kinds of stuff. So I'm opposed, frankly, of trying to have more specific
agree.
or details in the bylaws.
I just wanted to make sure that this committee was certain and they're
I
clear
agree.
and are okay with the fact that if someone gives a thumbs up, we're good with it. I didn't know it would have to be a different text because I don't want anybody to come back and say they didn't have a chance to vote due to the fact that their mic was muted and they couldn't come back in.
So
This
in
is
our
happening.
minutes, we'll spell this out.
That doesn't have to be, as Dan said, that doesn't have to be a bylaw change. That
No,
could just be a resolution. That could just
We
be a
just said if it's
resolution.
going to be okay with the committee, and that's the question I'm asking.
we said
Yeah.
yes.
Okay,
I agree.
needed to hear that. Thank you.
I agree.
We have to be flexible. Nothing's gonna be perfect.
Right, but I just want to make sure I don't have to come back with this nonsense. So everybody's in agreement that we understand that if you
Right.
didn't get the vote in, Jerry's okay to call you and we're all hearing it and we're good with it as a committee.
Yes.
Everybody says yes.
Yes,
Yes.
thumbs up.
Sonia?
Yes.
Julia, you can make it in your committee report when you're doing
Oh,
it
it'll be
on
in
the
the
next
report.
meeting.
It'll be
What?
in the report.
In November, when you send it out to the members, let it be clear and that we discussed this as per our committee report. And
Right.
this is what we're looking at. And then everybody will know. And if there's an issue, I'm pretty sure they'll reach out to Jerry in the office.
Okay, as long as we're all in agreement is what I needed to hear. Everybody's good? Do we have to take a roll to say yes, or we just gonna say yes?
Yes.
Yes, yes.
Yes,
Right, we're all good.
Yes.
Thank you very much. Do we have any new business?
yes. Well, it's old business. Remember after the last time we met and we passed amendment approval for the electronic voting?
You had to do something with that?
Well, no, we passed that, but then we also created text about extending the officers' terms until there's an election. And so we created the text at the meeting and then I sent it to Dialis and she sent it back, but we never approved it. It's just one little paragraph.
Oh,
What paragraph was that?
Well, it's,
the approval of the extension.
yeah, it's section 5C, elections of officers, elections, section 9. I'll just read it because it's not too long. In
I
terms of
see it.
all,
Go ahead.
yeah, the terms of all officers elected at the board's election meeting shall commence on July 1st of that year and expire on June 30th of the following year. And then the new text, that's an addition. However, in the event that elections cannot be held according to the schedule outlined in the bylaws, in order to provide continuity, board officer and attendance committee terms shall be extended until elections can be held.
I don't agree. I think that we should just strike that. I don't think that we should revisit that because nobody's in agreement with that, extending on month to month. Everybody, a lot of people set their position on it, and we should continue with that regardless, do it the way we're doing it, and be sure we honor those terms. And again, we have to meet in March, because then we would have to do nominations in May and the elections in June. I don't agree to
If, Sonia,
revisit that.
if I may give a correction, what Steve just stated is part of the public officers law. So we are bound by that. It doesn't have to be in our minutes. We are bound by that. That in the event elections cannot be held on in any title, that the officers stay seated until an election does take place. That's in the public officers law. We're bound by that.
But people were so screaming about it because of the month-to-month and the extension, and people were screaming bloody murder. I'm just concerned with that. I think that we have to revisit and look at the legalities of it because, again,
It's the law.
big fight.
It's the law. It's currently the law.
Okay,
It's
so it's a law
in the
that we have to
public
address
officers
that.
law, not the bylaws. In the public officers law,
Okay,
any officer for any board, whether it's board 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever, that officer stays seated until at such time the body holds an election.
And I
Okay.
think I stated that when we started this too, because folks was concerned that we didn't have a board. And I'm like, you don't have a board, you don't have a CB1. You have to have a board, you have to have an executive board. They will stay seated. That's an automatic. I only know that from being the president. So what did you want us to do, Steve, again?
Well, I thought we created it because even though, yeah, it's covered by the public officers law at the state level, we just wanted it stated in our own bylaws, just so we have it there, so there's no,
Confusion.
yeah, but,
okay, so then we have to vote on it. We just put a motion.
Somebody got to make a motion.
I'll make a motion.
What was
Sonia.
that?
I'll
So
second
let
it.
them make the motion.
I'll second it.
Marie?
Are you calling the vote?
Marie?
Okay, the vote is to be called.
Yes,
All right, Julia Foster,
I agree.
Sonia Inglesia,
Yes.
Stephen Chesler,
Yes,
Joel Goldstein,
Yeah.
Martin Needleman,
Yes.
Rabbi Niederman, not present. Janice Peterson,
Yes.
William Vega,
Yes.
you have 6 yeses.
okay.
Thank you very much, people. Now, we did old business. Do we have any new business? Anybody?
I do, but
Go
I
ahead, Jan.
want to have an extended. I just want to put out on the table, but not to discuss today, that because I'm concerned about the fact that it's very hard to have, and Maria, not picking on you, but to get any dates for committee meetings because of the this WebEx too, that seem to be limited in being able to get time to meet. And I would just like to have people think about we can't have more than one meeting on a night. And then, there seems to be a lot of problem. And I don't know if it's WebEx, Marie. So I thought you might want to just say why it's so difficult to get time for committee meetings. And now that we use Zoom and all these different things, can't we have more committee meetings going on without all of this extra technology with that?
Well, Jan,
Yes.
yeah, it has to do with attending the meetings and setting up the meetings, and it doesn't really have to do with WebEx.
Okay.
Okay, so,
Well, it seems to be harder now than it ever was, is all I'm saying.
well, we have to have a host, and that's
Uh-huh.
only one person at a time. So we'll work out the kinks
I
in
think we
this.
should just discuss committee meetings at some point and what procedures should be used, because there are a lot of issues around these meetings that I've had for a long time and other people on my committee. But I don't want to discuss it now. I just want to raise the fact that since we're trying to improve participation and advance it, I would like us to review at least how we think the committee structure is working.
Hasn't blinked out. Yay for me.
Yeah.
I'm curious, Marie, as far as posting the meetings to the calendar, with the new system, do you do that or does the city do that? You have to submit it to the city and then they post it?
The city posts it.
Oh,
Hey, Marie, my question to the same issue. I'm sorry, Steve, were you still talking?
well, I was to say, so there's some lag time with
Well,
that?
Steve, we prepare the notice. We send it to do it takes anywhere from 2 to 5 days. That's why we try to get a 5-day lead time so we could get it up.
Man,
It depends on how much of a flow that they're dealing with at the time. Sometimes it goes up right away. We made some changes yesterday. It went up the same day, but there's no norm to it. Put it that way.
is
And-
it worse since the pandemic?
It's worse since the pandemic because all the agencies are using the system now. They're all
Right.
using WebEx.
Yeah, and I'm just saying in general, we don't have, and maybe I'm the only human being, is that I've said is that we can have, not in the bylaws, how committees operate, one sheet. Like I have a lot of people that are not board members that are on my committee. Many, and I keep telling them they have to write to Alice to get approved. But that should all be laid out. Here's a application form. You fill it out. It goes to her. Yeah, I'm just saying. I'd like to review.
That's a good idea. It's on the website. Check it out.
Yeah.
The application's on the website. It's been up on the website for non-board member appointments to committees.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, let's review how these things are working. That's all.
And Marie, my question is,
Not now, for the future. I just want to review the operations of the committees, how they're working, with the co-chair, co-chair, it's just all working because Marty and I and others spent considerable time on committees at one point.
And my question is in regards to the making dates. And we're coming up to start making our dates for the year. Do we still have to submit that? Being that like we're kind of having issues with having dates to get in to having a meeting?
If we get dates from committee chairs, it's great, but then the committee chairs also have to get us the agenda.
Ah, got it.
That's the agenda. We chase a lot of the committee chairs for the agendas.
And the issue is things come up. I see, you see, Julia, I just think it's worthwhile for us at the next meeting to put on the agenda that we talk about committees, how they're functioning, how it's working. And even if it's just me that misses it on the website, at least we have an idea, of what's going on, because your committee also, emergencies happen, big issues come up, things happen that require a meeting. That have nothing to do with the schedule you had.
Yeah, and the only reason I'm also asking is because as this committee is concerned, we need to have a meeting for when we are going to, or will we possibly be available for a date to meet coming in the coming years? Because right now we're just picking dates randomly on the calendar.
That's right.
And things do happen.
I think the question, Jerry and Marie, you know it better than we do, is are more people from the board participating now that we're on WebEx and we're meeting long distance than when they had to come to your office? I'd like to have a review of that so we know which is more convenient for people.
Well, I can just know from my personal experience from the committees I'm on, it has not increased attendeeship.
It has not increased?
No, I don't know it's necessarily gone down, but I don't think it's definitely not gone up,
Okay.
like land use and environmental.
But you see what I mean? I'd just like to review all that at another meeting so we know where we're at. That's it. And how people are participating, and are people now getting their quorums? Because that was pretty frustrating that all these committees weren't getting quorums and all this stuff. Are we better now? We've spent 2 years trying to improve that area. So I'd just like to know, is it improved? Not now. So
Okay. Well, that's something we can talk about.
Yeah.
All right. So as somebody, are we done? We don't have any more old business? Anybody new business old?
Well, I guess just one question is this, so you feel like, I guess to Jerry and to Julia, do you feel like as far as the board, if they pass these bylaw updates, are we covered as far as the board proceeding with nominations in December and elections in January? Do you see any other legal hurdles or other hurdles?
I believe we're good to go. I hope so.
I think we're good.
So
This is where I've been trying to get us at since day one.
but listen, so when this is gonna be submitted to dialysis first, Jerry?
No. This, once the committee approves it, which they have, this will go out with the meeting notice for the next meeting
Perfect.
for consideration by the full board at the next meeting. That's what the bylaws call for.
Perfect.
And if Donald Trump is elected, what are we doing?
We're nonpartisan, regardless. We are nonpartisan.
How to charter, we can't charter a ship, the
My
ships are
wife
all,
has a cousin who
I'm
lives in
going
New
to
Zealand.
Detroit and I'm going through the
there.
tunnel to Canada.
New
I
Zealand.
got there.
I'm
Taking
optimistic.
my money to Canada.
Let's not ruin our night. It was a good night. Let's not even go there, people.
Are we done, people? I haven't been this happy in this meeting in a long time.
Amen.
Amen. It's good to see people laughing for a change.
Oh, yes. Such a stress reliever. You guys are amazing.
Anybody have any other issues or anything as far as this bylaws committee concerned?
I move. that we close
Motion
the
to
meeting.
adjourn.
Okay, how many people's making the motion? Like I said, one at a time.
I just want to thank the committee for their diligence and for your time and effort put into this. And thank you, Steve.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jerry.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I know it's been difficult.
You're welcome.
And
Thank
thank you,
you, Phil.
Jerry and Marie. It's all about teamwork.
Who made the who second? Sonia?
Second.
Yes.
All in
Second.
favor?
Rudy Vega seconds.
Aye.
Bye.
Aye.
thank you, everyone. Have a good night.
Stay safe.
Aye, Steve. Thanks again, Steve.
Woo! Finally.
Amen.
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 All right.
Well,